Hi guys, I've tried to make this video honestly 2 times already. It's my story about depersonalization and derealization. I've experienced it firsthand and I've also recovered, so I wanted to basically make a video to let you guys know about that. Because a lot of people will talk about what it feels like, but not a lot of people talk about the steps to recovery, what it feels like as you're recovering. And honestly, depersonalization and derealization is just such a big topic. There's so much to talk about. I can't fit everything in one video, and so inevitably I'm going to have to make a couple of these. But for right now, I'm just going to talk about my own personal story, not going into like too much depth. So, on August 1st, 2013, I smoked weed with some friends, and I felt weird the next day. And you guys know what I'm talking about. Like, I was experiencing like the depersonalization and derealization symptoms. And this had happened the last few times I'd smoked weed, but the reason it stuck out this time was because these feelings didn't go away after a day or two. 4 days later, my girlfriend at the time was actually coming down to visit, and I still felt fucked up. And so that's kind of when I went online. It took me like less than 5 minutes probably to find out exactly what it was. Like, the symptoms are just, it's so easy to look up. And I went on YouTube, hence why I'm making this video, because other people made theirs and there's so little knowledge out there. I thought the least I can do is share my story and hopefully help some of you guys. So the symptoms, I won't talk about this because we could talk about this for hours. But probably the biggest symptom is you check in to see if things feel normal all the time. You think about, your depersonalization all the time, and you might take sleep a lot more than normal, hoping that you'll wake up and it'll be gone. And honestly, guys, that doesn't help. The more you think about it, the more you obsess over it. But it can't go away while you're doing that. And the reason why is because your depersonalization and derealization is a defense mechanism that comes from your mind when your subconscious thinks you've had a traumatic experience. And so obsessively worrying and thinking and basically like worrying about this new problem you're perceiving, which is in fact a defense mechanism, makes it so that it won't go away, because now you've created a new problem that needs to be defended against. And I'm sure if you've done any kind of like reading, everyone says you gotta stop thinking about it. And I know that's kind of a bullshit thing to say, because you can't really, like, it's fucking hard. But it'll happen. Like, if you want it to, you'll be able to do it eventually. For me, totally failed at it for a long time. But I had, when I when I came back from studying abroad, and I was just on campus, I definitely, like, just because it was like a change of pace of life, had a moment where I realized, holy fuck, like, I'm not thinking about it, or at least I wasn't for like the past X amount of time, and that's unusual for me. And then again, during the summer when I had an internship, there was one day when I was walking out of the office and I realized, like, holy shit, like, I've been so busy this whole day, I haven't even been thinking about it. And it's like in steps like that you can kind of get better at not paying so much attention to it. Okay, so now probably the most important thing that I wanted to talk about is what recovery felt like for me. And honestly, given that all of our experiences are super similar, this is probably what it'll feel like for you. I always thought while I was experiencing DPDR that recovery would feel like linear, or it would all happen at once. I'd wake up one day and boom, hey, I'm good. But that's totally not how it happened. It happens in chunks, like boom, boom. And I'll give you an example of like a chunk. Like, back when I got back from studying abroad and I was on campus, I had a day, like a definitive day, which was my first day since having DPDR, where nothing good happened, but it still felt like a good day. Like, those days, like, nothing special happens, but you find yourself going like, yeah, it was a fucking good day. Like, the first time I had one of those, that was like, that was momentous, you know, that was noteworthy, and it hadn't happened before. And you'll notice stuff like that, like you'll realize like, holy shit, I felt like a little bit better this day than I ever had before. Or, you know, like, holy shit, like when I was cuddling with this, you know, like with my partner, like I fucking forgot about it for a minute, or that sort of thing. And you have to remember those, like those little chunks, because that's what recovery is like. It's the accumulation of a bunch of chunks over time, and you'll get to a point where you'll look back and you'll be like, I feel like shit, but I feel so much better today than I did some period of time ago. And eventually, you'll get back to normal. So, the last thing I wanted to talk about is what it feels like now. And I'd be lying if I say I feel 100% perfect good all the time, because I don't. I feel good. Like, most days, it's completely indistinguishable from when I was, from before I ever experienced any of this. But there's still times when it like creeps back up again, and that might sound scary, but it's really not, and I'll explain why. Because you know how I said it was a defense mechanism? It comes about when you're stressed, and so like if I'm in a new city and like we don't know where we're going, and I'm with one other friend, and you know it's just confusing, nothing looks familiar, like yeah, I'll begin to feel a little bit like a little bit, you know, out of it. But I know that like when I get to my friend's house and we sit down and just chill, that I'm going to go back to feeling 100% normal. And that's just kind of how it is now. Another thing is, when I sleep in too much, I actually feel worse. And so I just like try not to sleep in as much. And this might sound like, oh shit, I'm never going to really recover. Trust me, I would not trade like how I feel now for anything. I'm being honest with you. It's like when your balls drop, like your voice isn't gonna sound the same. You can still like make high pitched sounds, but like life is like a little bit different. And that's what it's like now. Like on the average day, I don't think about it once, and I have just as much fun, just as much legitimate laughter. I don't look in the mirror and think, who the fuck is that guy? Or that sort of thing. And that's where I'm gonna end this video. I'm probably going to have to make some more because there's just so much to talk about. But feel free to comment. I can't promise I'll ever get back to any of this. But I hope this helps you. And just remember that you will recover. Like, I know I just said that in the least convincing way possible, but I experienced it for almost a full year, and I knew that you experienced this for a long time, but I was convinced that I wasn't going to. And the truth is that the vast majority of people, like 99%, you'll recover completely. Some people experience this throughout their whole lives, but even in their case situation, it's better at sometimes and it's worse at others. And so, I'll just leave it at that.